Club Shay Shay, yeah. I was trying to do something there that hadn't been done. I thought that I had figured out the algorithm mathematically, and I thought that I wrote it out to kill the careers of the people I was talking about, right? But it was so vicious that I erased all of the knockout blows and just left the jabs so that the comic I'm talking about knows that I know your real story. I'm going to tell this, but you know what else I know. So, yeah, I was...
Do you want to tell any of those stories now?
Well, I'm saying...
I've had to turn down $50 million 4 times just to protect my integrity and that virgin hole I was telling you about. Right. Because P. Diddy be wanting the body. All of these big dick deviants is all catching hell in 2024. It's up for all of them. It don't matter if you Diddy or whoever you is. T.G. Jakes, any of them. All lies will be exposed. That's all. And anyone who takes that the wrong way, know why they take it the wrong way.
So Katt Williams said it. The lawsuit started coming out right after he said it, and he said all would be exposed. So he is the person that controls Diddy, that Lucien Grange was aware of these parties, that Universal Music Group was aware of these parties. Essentially, that Diddy is the thug and the gangster working on behalf of Lucien Grange. They did not know that he was recording them. I mean, when I read through that lawsuit, Rodney made it very clear that he had hidden cameras. And if you are a person like LeBron who says ain't no party like a Diddy party, you got Ashton Kutcher talking about what happens at Diddy parties stays at Diddy parties. And finally you learn via the press that actually Diddy has been collecting evidence on all of you and you don't know where those tapes are. That will buy your silence for quite some time because you're hoping that if you keep your head low, you're not going to be revealed as one of these people that was engaged in some of these acts, whether they were heterosexual or homosexual, it doesn't matter. Maybe you're just cheating on your wife and you don't want that to get out into the public. Maybe you were, as Katt Williams described it, in one of the rooms. He said you could just walk around the house. He said this on stage years ago, that you could walk around the house and you would see people engaged in various sex acts. And again, Katt Williams was someone who was dismissed as crazy and dismissed as a drug addict. And it turned out that, or it seems that if these allegations are proven to be true, and I believe they are, then he was telling the truth.
Do you think that like stars and get offered that kind of thing, like to compromise themselves sexually for entertainment?
I was as shocked as anybody about how powerful Harvey Weinstein was at the time that I was meeting with him. Could not be told no. You follow what I'm saying?
They'll figure out some way.
Right. So I thought that didn't apply to me because I don't care about nothing but bitches and good business, right? In these scary situations, I don't even leave it up to me. Like, I'm going to do what the superhero would do in this part of the movie, regardless.
That's a good way to think about things in general.
Yeah.
What would the super...
When news of Diddy's arrest broke last September, Katt Williams didn't waste a beat. Jumping onto Instagram stories, he reposted a viral AI-generated image that morphed Diddy's mugshot with Wesley Snipes' infamous look from New Jack City, tagging it with a biting caption, "Diddy about to snitch on everybody." The internet erupted. Memes exploded across timelines, and fans echoed the same thought. If anyone's going to cut a deal and start naming names, it's probably Diddy. But Katt wasn't just tossing out one-liners for laughs. This wasn't a random roast. It was a warning shot. Long before this moment, in his older podcast appearances and stand-up sets, Katt had been casually name-dropping celebrities like Tyler Perry, Ricky Smiley, Steve Harvey, and even Ludacris. Back then, it seemed like he was just airing personal grudges. But now, some of those same names, along with others like Jay-Z, Aaron Hall, and Harve Pierre, are showing up in official court filings tied to the Diddy investigation. It turns out Katt wasn't just cracking jokes. He was dropping breadcrumbs. And what looked like a wild comedy bit is starting to look a lot more like a roadmap to a sprawling, star-studded scandal. The lines between satire and whistleblowing have never been blurrier, and the dots are beginning to connect.
That you bought a military base in Alabama. Is that true? A military base?
As starving comedians would do.
Now, I don't know if you're being truthful or not. Did you really buy one?
Yeah, Fort McClellan. Yeah, what? Because the reason why like my life works in golf and off the go, if I see somebody do a good job, I just want to do a good job.
Yeah.
I'm going to follow the example.
Yeah.
Right? So Tyler Perry got a military base.
That's correct.
Made it into a movie studio and started making movies. Katt Williams.
Bought a military base. Are you making movies?
I'm not wearing dresses. Yeah.
At what point in Tyler Perry's career was he Samuel L. Jackson or Denzel Washington? Which are the only two black men I can think of that never had a dress on.
Yeah, but I don't think it's about
At one point, it is about that. It is about that because he's the only black man that we already established has $1 billion for making movies. He's the only black man with his own studio. But he's also putting out material where he got a goddamn dress on every year.
Because
every time you turn around, at every iteration of his success, be it the plays that took over and got him popular, be it the shit that he did on TBS, be it the first movies that he did, be it the movies that he does now. So what is his excuse for doing Madea content now?
Because there's an audience for it. There's an audience for it. There is an audience.
There's an audience for it.
Tyler Perry told his male actors they're not allowed to consort with me because I saw you at a Diddy party, Tyler. And you were having a glorious time. I spent a lot of time in Miami and I snuck around Star Island quite a bit. I know Christian isn't lying. But I need him to tell me what happened to my friends. And I don't care how long it's been since I talked to them. They will always be my friends. And Lamont Rucker, we're not the same after they went on camera with Tyler Perry. Christian, I think you can tell me why.
Katt Williams started his takedown with none other than Tyler Perry. At first glance, it just sounded like classic comedic jabbing, especially when Katt quipped that Perry can't play a man to save his life. But peel back the punchline, and there's something deeper hiding in plain sight. What most people don't realize is that during the early days of Tyler Perry's rise, when he was still writing indie scripts and struggling to break into mainstream cinema, it was Diddy's inner circle that quietly stepped in. Behind the curtain, Bad Boy affiliates helped bankroll those first productions, orchestrated high-profile premieres in Los Angeles and New York, and stacked the guest list with industry elites desperate to say they were there at the beginning. None of that made it into entertainment news headlines. You won't find it in glossy retrospectives or magazine profiles. But if you dig into the production credits and distribution details of Diary of a Mad Black Woman or Medea's Family Reunion, the fingerprints are there. Subtle but unmistakable. Tyler Perry may never openly acknowledge it, but the launchpad that catapulted him into stardom had Bad Boy blueprints all over it. Katt wasn't just throwing shade, he was exposing the shadows behind the spotlight.
Ricky Smiley sit here and you said out that mouth, you stole Friday After Next, the one I was in. I wish all of America fumbled a bit when that happened. He told everybody, it should have been my role. Everybody on the scene. Why do you think no cast member has ever said anything?
He couldn't have played that role like you. I thought he was...
Sir, no one... Why no... He was with KD? He beat up Terry Crews? Why nobody know this story? And Hollywood has never heard this in 100 years. He was so egregious, I put in my contract that I won't work with Ricky Smiley again unless he's in a dress. Now, what was Ricky Smiley's next movie? Was it First Sunday? Did he wear a dress in it? You bet he did. It's in my contract. That's why I can't let Ricky Smiley say he was supposed to play Money Mike, because I wrote the words for Money Mike. I put in my contract that I won't work with Ricky Smiley again unless he's in a dress. Now, what was Ricky Smiley's next movie? Was it First Sunday? Did he wear a dress in it? You bet he did. It's in my contract.
Why would you put that in your contract, Katt?
That's where he's a believable actor.
But when you reported a long time ago that Jamie, that he mysteriously got sick. Yeah, mysteriously. They looked at it as alleged it was Diddy. But how do you, but when you reported that back then, months ago, did you say, what was that in your reporting? Yeah, they were saying that Diddy, because Diddy and Jamie Foxx were good friends. And they broke up, they stopped being friends. And they just, no, we're not doing no. I'm telling you what they said.
Who's that?
They that wait.
They that wait on the Lord.
They that wait. You put the mess out there.
All right, y'all, we gonna wrap.
I think we probably had met and had been around each other, but my ex-wife, we are still close. She's a flight attendant for Delta.
Oh, okay.
And we was married, we was young, and I was married for 12 years.
Wow.
I had a beautiful, she's beautiful.
Next up on Katt's list, Ricky Smiley. On the surface, it seemed like another one of Katt's signature zingers, claiming Ricky only shines in a dress. But as always with Katt, there's more behind the barb. Ricky's journey through the entertainment ranks didn't start on a comedy stage or behind a radio mic. It started at Diddy's private Atlanta parties, exclusive, tightly controlled events where access wasn't just limited, it was curated. These weren't your typical industry mixers. Puffy's team decided who got in, who got noticed, and who got the nod. And Ricky made that list. Once inside those velvet rope gatherings, Ricky didn't waste time. He networked, positioned himself, and leveraged the moment. The doors that opened afterward, from radio shows to his own sitcom, didn't open randomly. They were nudged by connections made in rooms controlled by Diddy's empire. So when Katt cracks a joke about Ricky's performances in dresses, he's not just clowning. He's referencing a deeper truth, that Ricky Smiley's ascent wasn't just about talent or hustle, but about getting plugged into the bad boy pipeline. Before most people even knew his name.
Comedy Jam 25. It's good to see so many funny people together in one room, all wondering the same thing. Is Katt Williams gonna show up?
Shit, I'm nervous as hell.
I didn't know he was right there. I would not have said that if I had seen that.
Yeah.
I'm not used to quiet, introspective Katt Williams.
No.
But let me ask you this. When have you ever seen this many heavy hitters all together at the same time?
Yeah.
In the same room? Yeah.
Right.
Story making headlines today.
Yeah, so this one is actually sparked by these pictures. That's 49-year-old P. Diddy with his hand on his girlfriend's belly. Now, that is 22-year-old Lori Harvey. They're in Cabo. She's, of course, talk show host Steve Harvey's stepdaughter. People are talking about maybe she could be pregnant. You know, he's rubbing her belly a little bit, but...
She's put up some Instagrams, I think, that show some clues. Sushi, right? Sushi, a bad thing for pregnancy.
It could go either way. But then also she posted this picture of green juice, which, you know, why would you want a flatter tummy if you really can't avoid it because you're carrying a child?
Ooh, this is conflicting evidence. Okay. Lori was once actually linked to Diddy's son, Justin.
Okay.
Okay, that's all. Well, then that's it. He's given the blessing.
Mm-hmm.
They're together.
Steve Harvey and Cedric the Entertainer didn't escape Katt Williams' crosshairs either. On stage, Katt hit them with pointed jabs, accusing Harvey of swiping a TV concept he once pitched, and calling out Cedric for allegedly stealing one of his top-shelf jokes over 20 years ago. At face value, it sounds like classic comedy beef. But beneath the headline-grabbing drama is a subtler message about alliances and access. Both Steve and Cedric have more than just comedic roots in common. They've each been spotted rubbing shoulders with Diddy at high-profile charity galas, events underwritten by Bad Boy Money. These weren't small-time fundraisers. They were million-dollar affairs aimed at youth programs and educational initiatives, where the real currency wasn't just money, it was power. Each time they took the mic to thank Diddy for his vision or generosity, they weren't just being polite. They were publicly reinforcing their ties to one of the industry's most connected gatekeepers. Those polished photos, tuxedoed smiles, and feel-good sound bites from the gala stage offer a rare glimpse into a far deeper web of influence. A world where public charity doubles as private networking, and career doors quietly swing open behind the scenes.
So yeah, T.D. Jakes is on that list.
On that list.
And, you know, Katt Williams, I don't know if he's a Christian or not. I don't think he is. His mouth would say maybe he's maybe has faith, but he's bearing fruits of repentance. But that podcast got well over millions and millions of views because he just blasted the industry. And basically the whole, we give you money and you join in on this debauchery, you join in on this sodomy, you join in on this pedophilia, you join in on these rituals, your career will go from here to here. And that's actually been seen if you look at a lot of different careers, including Taylor Swift's. She actually started rubbing shoulders with P. Diddy a long time ago, and then all of a sudden her career.
We also know that T.D. Jakes is allegedly also a power bottom, and he's a much older man. And they say he's very enthusiastic in his endeavors. What happens when he pops something loose? You know what I'm saying?
It's funny because they're mentioning sex workers, but they're not mentioning women. They're mentioning men as sex workers.
Yeah.
Is that a thing where like there's a website? I mean, what? It's just wild to hear like you mentioned the
You
normal.
never heard of Grindr?
I personally have not. That is what.
Why don't nobody ever talk about the fact that TD Cakes?
The reach of Diddy's influence even stretches beyond the stage and into the sanctuary. Bishop T.D. Jakes once delivered a sermon at a star-studded gospel concert, an event quietly bankrolled by Diddy's team. But this wasn't your average church revival. The setup looked more like a music industry rollout. Velvet ropes, platinum tier, seating, media walls, and flashing cameras. It was faith wrapped in the aesthetics of fame. What most attendees didn't see was the machinery behind it all. The guest lists curated by Bad Boys PR handlers, the hand-picked influencers seated, front row, and the music executives mingling behind the scenes. It was less about praise and worship, and more about branding with a spiritual twist. Katt Williams name drops T.D. Jakes in passing, lumping him in with the so-called deviants, who may soon face public exposure. At first, the mention seems offbeat, even unfair. But when you look closer, it speaks volumes. It suggests that Diddy's empire didn't just manipulate entertainment and business, it found ways to infiltrate the pulpit too. Underneath the hymns and hallelujahs, Katt points to a deeper truth, that Diddy's brand of influence fuses celebrity, culture, and even religion, all under one shadowy, carefully controlled network.
He turned down $50 million 4 times.
No, he didn't.
To protect his integrity and his virgin hole.
No, he didn't. He did that. He did that to say that Kevin Hart took $50 million to unvirgin his hole.
Can you explain a little bit?
No, I just told you what happened with that.
So you don't believe Katt when he says that he turned down $50 million 4 times?
No, I believe that was a punch at what he did, what Kevin Hart did for that movie Get Hard. He showed y'all what he did. He sucked Will Ferrell's as a kid. Short. He wasn't ready. All that. It's the same thing.
I said it, and this sums it up well. Like you don't entertain the circus, you watch it. Right? And when a lion comes out and rides the bike, you don't think about it too hard. You just go, okay, that's crazy. The lion's riding a bike. And then you go home and enjoy the rest of your day. I don't feed into the stuff at all. At the end of the day, it's all entertainment to a certain degree. So you just hope that people can be smart enough and have a tremendous amount of logic to just go and possibly do research or fact check. And if they do, then great. If they don't, then kudos to that as well. I just don't have the time for it. There's too much going on.
In my opinion, one of the ones that affects me the most is Justin Bieber.
Do you have the Kevin Hart one?
Which is odd, Pat, because he gets caught saying that he would wake up next to him and then he changes it and says next to a freaking child. And it's like, I'm tired of hearing all these stories and people just laugh about it. We giggle. Like, this is it right here.
That's my brother right here from day one. We used to wake up and, pause.
Look, pause.
I mean, back in the days when he was like 10 and I was
10 years
a little bit older, his older brother, we used to fight over the Frosted Flakes. You know what I'm saying? Before pause was invented. You know what I'm saying? But it's my brother for real. We used to actually wrestle.
Usher.
He used to always get up early. Now he's one of the richest songs in the world. And
what the fuck did Puff just say? Nobody's gonna acknowledge this with me.
So
Puff just said we used to wrestle over the Frosted Flakes, and we're streaming live.
Even Kevin Hart doesn't escape Katt Williams' unfiltered critique. Katt labels him an industry plant, suggesting that Hart's rise wasn't just about hustle and punchlines, it was about positioning. According to Katt, projects like Ride Along and Night. School didn't just get greenlit because they were funny. They only moved forward after passing through Diddy's approval zone. A closer look at the production credits backs up the claim. Puffy's business tentacles, through various venture arms, quietly show up in the margins. Sometimes it's through soundtrack placements, other times it's as executive producer credits that rarely make headlines. And it doesn't stop with film. Hart's comedy specials often landed on streaming platforms and networks where Bad Boy had distribution leverage or pre-existing deals. It's a pattern, not a coincidence. The deeper you dig, the clearer it becomes. Hart's journey to the A-list wasn't walked alone. It paralleled, and at times intersected with, the infrastructure of Diddy's empire. What exactly was traded in return for that fast track? Katt only hints, never spells it out. But the implication is loud and clear. In Hollywood, even laughter comes with a price tag, and someone else might be holding the...
Luda. No, so we were both invited to an Illuminati thing. One of us had to cut off all their hair and couldn't do the sideburn thing no more with the points. And the next person they said was going to get $200 million because they were going to pay him $10 million a movie to do 20 movies. And that's how the conversation happened. One of those persons turned out to be Ludacris, and the other person turned out to be Katt Williams. I didn't get it. I'm not mad about it.
How much money they give? 200?
Sir.
Worry any about your own safety and stuff?
Well, what it was that I was attempting to do was impossible. So before I do this interview, there is no Illuminati. It's just a joke. It's just something that crazy people talk about. There's no such thing as our side and God's side. None of that is even real. Yeah. I gotta come and make it real. So that's why when I said that, nobody came out and went, that's not true. I'm on God's side. If part of the ritual is wearing a dress, then we should be able to look through entertainment and see all of these people being made to wear a dress.
Yeah, you don't see the dog catcher show up every other year.
I guess not a thing.
In a nice skirt, or you don't see an electrician.
Right. So
come up in a blouse every.
And then there's Ludacris, another name Katt Williams doesn't hesitate to spotlight. In classic Katt fashion, he frames it with a heavy dose of conspiracy, suggesting only an elite organization like the Illuminati could orchestrate Ludacris landing a $200 million contract. It sounds like half stand-up routine, half coded warning. But behind the theatrics lies a pattern too real to ignore. Forget the secret societies for a second. The public collaborations paint the picture just fine. Luda and Diddy have traded verses on each other's albums, co-headlined major music festivals, and stood side by side at tribute shows honoring Biggie. These weren't random link-ups. They were calculated, high-visibility appearances that built a sense of unity, both on stage and off. Katt may wrap it in talk of hidden hands and shadow networks, but the actual receipts are out in the open. You don't need pyramid symbols or whispered deals in back rooms to recognize what's been there for years. A strategic alliance built on mutual benefit, long-term loyalty, and shared influence across the culture. The spotlight may shine on the performances, but the real power move is the partnership.
It's like this. Obviously, you're not making any kind of a dynamic entry. This isn't a hostage situation, right? Where that's not what's happening here. However, they did know that there would be weapons there, armed security, those kinds of things. That's why you saw those warrants being served by, for the most part, a tactical SWAT team. Simply, that is procedure to keep everyone safe. A lot of people were frustrated when they saw the video that came out of the warrant, that his home was, in, I guess, disarray. A lot of mentions to digital evidence. And that's why they tore up couch cushions. That's why they made holes in walls. They were looking for flash drives, tiny devices where these things were stored. And so all of that is done methodically. It's all cataloged. And in a case like this, where you're not necessarily rushing, to put out a fire or something like that, it was all done in a very methodical way. You typically go through room by room to catalog all of that evidence.
The federal indictment of Sean Diddy Combs has been unsealed. His charges: trafficking, racketeering, and transportation to engage in prostitution.
Combs allegedly planned and controlled the sex performances, which he called freak-offs, and he often electronically recorded them. In addition to the violence, The indictment alleges that Combs threatened and coerced victims to get them to participate in the freak-offs. He used the embarrassing and sensitive recordings he made of the freak-offs as collateral against the victims.
The indictment also alleges the 54-year-old maintained control over his victims in several ways, including by giving...
Jay-Z's been accused of raping a 13-year-old girl in 2000, allegedly along with Sean Diddy Combs. Our US correspondent Martha Kellner has the latest from Los Angeles.
This civil suit was originally filed back in October against Sean Combs, better known as P. Diddy. It has now been amended to also include allegations against Jay-Z, whose real name is Sean Carter. In this civil suit, a woman says that when she was a 13-year-old girl back in the year TV Video Music Awards, during which she says she was raped by Jay-Z and P. Diddy. She says that Jay-Z removed her clothes, pinned her down and raped her while P. Diddy and an unnamed female celebrity watched on. She says she was then raped by P. Diddy as Jay-Z and this female celebrity watched on once.
But how does all of this tie back to Diddy and the legal firestorm he's now drowning in? To connect the dots, we have to rewind to March 2024, the moment everything started unraveling in public view. That month, federal agents executed coordinated raids on Sean Diddy Combs' properties in Los Angeles and Miami. They didn't leave with just laptops and phones. They took entire archives of electronics, hard drives, and confidential documents, all as part of an intensifying federal sex trafficking investigation. By September, the situation escalated dramatically. A federal grand jury handed down a sweeping indictment against Diddy, hitting him with charges of racketeering, sex trafficking, and interstate transport for illicit purposes, the kind of charges that suggest a sprawling, organized operation. Then came the real bombshell. In December, a batch of court filings dropped like a nuclear warhead. Even the most seasoned crime reporters were left speechless. The documents named not only Diddy, but also music mogul Jay-Z, real name Sean Carter, accusing both men of drugging and sexually assaulting a 13-year-old girl following the 2000 MTV Video Music Awards. The claims were graphic, deeply disturbing, and chilling in their detail. Suddenly, all those old jokes, odd alliances, and whispered rumors weren't just Hollywood gossip. They looked more like pieces of a much darker puzzle, one that's now being laid out in court for the world.
Justin Combs, you've been indicted with your dad. Now, ain't that something, God? Ain't that something? How LeBron, right, and his son will be the first father-son to play a game in the NBA, and P. Diddy and his son will be the first father and son to get indicted and go to federal prison for messing with little boys. Ain't that about something? The apple don't fall too far from the tree, y'all, man. And I tell you all the time, man, you have to watch what you do around your kids because they're watching everything. And in his case, man, he watched what his dad did, and his dad allowed him to do these things with him. But hey, man, he was named in that indictment yesterday with those 120 people.
About 30 different law enforcement vehicles at least. There are 3 Bearcats on scene here. This just all unfolded, Sandra, I would say, less than 10 minutes ago. We got here even before the crime scene tape came up. So we're just down the hill. If you look up the street where Tony is right now to the right, you'll see one of those Bearcats and law enforcement. And on the other side of those bushes, basically, is that home that is registered to Bad Boy Films, which is part.
Even Diddy's own son, Justin Combs, has been swept into the storm. According to court documents and sources close to the investigation, Justin is accused of helping coordinate so-called freak-off parties, private gatherings allegedly involving underage girls and high-profile guests. The accusations were severe enough that when federal agents raided Diddy's homes, they didn't just ask Justin to step aside, they placed him in handcuffs on the spot. Though he was ultimately released and has not been formally charged, the incident sent a clear message. Investigators believe he played a more active role than just being a bystander. His proximity to the scandal, both familial and operational, raises serious questions about how deep the rot goes within Diddy's.
Revelations show that after Dawn Richard filed her lawsuit against Diddy, he allegedly bombarded his former bandmate Kalena Harper with over 50 calls in one day and reached out a total of 128 times over 4 days. Prosecutors say that these calls were attempts to sway her testimony, part of a broader pattern of trying to gaslight and manipulate witnesses. Can you blame Kalina for distancing herself from the situation? She came under fire for posture. It is understandable that she would want to clarify her stance, especially with Diddy reportedly trying to reach out so persistently. Apologize to this woman. She's a victim.
Well, let's do it then.
They gonna do? Put kids in jail for hitting a super soaker? What the they gonna do?
Oh, that'd be horrible.
Y'all be some pissy motherfuckers. Go that if you want to. Fuck the picnic.
All right, Jack, one got to go in all their works.
Let me see that again.
So we have a Jimmy.
Leon Cole.
Oh, shit. I gotta say who they are.
Abner Bromowitz.
Jimmy Iovine.
Leon Cohen. Fuck that Jew bitch.
So you say he Jay-Z. All that is.
View. Former Bad Boy Records artist Kenna Harper has now emerged as a critical witness, offering first-hand accounts of violence inflicted on Diddy's ex-girlfriend, Cassie Ventura. Her statements align disturbingly well with the broader narrative painted by prosecutors, one that alleges a pattern of abuse, manipulation, and intimidation that spanned years and pulled in some of the industry's most powerful figures. Even music titans like Interscope co-founder Jimmy Iovine and Universal Music Group CEO Lucian Grange didn't escape the legal spotlight. For a brief but telling moment, both were named in filings, not as perpetrators, but as individuals alleged to have witnessed key events or played roles in shaping testimonies behind closed doors. Grange's name has since been withdrawn, but the mere mention sent shockwaves through the entertainment world. What's striking is how closely this evolving legal saga mirrors the list Katt Williams rattled off during his now infamous takedown, naming names, connecting dots, and hinting at a celebrity web far darker than the public ever imagined. It sounded like wild speculation at the time. Now, it reads like a prelude to a federal case file. When it comes to Puff Daddy, coincidence doesn't hold up under the weight of this.
Hanson, would you please start a podcast? The community will speak the truth. I do not enjoy listening to me talk. So if I did a podcast, it would have to okay, the answer is yes. Fine, I'll do the podcast, and I'm working on it. All right, there you go.
These allegations are far from mere rumors or internet conspiracy theories. They are grounded in official court documents, federal indictments, and sworn testimonies. As the trial looms in May 2025, every name connected to this case reveals just how vast and deeply entrenched Sean Diddy Combs' network truly is. Whether these celebrities were fully aware of what they were becoming involved in, or simply caught up in circumstances beyond their control, one fact stands out. When Katt Williams claims he's exposing every star tied to Diddy's inner circle, he isn't speculating or guessing. He's drawing directly from the same court filings and legal evidence that lay bare a sprawling, star-studded web of alleged wrongdoing.